Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope everybody is having a great day. We finally have the market and Palantir that closed slightly in the green after we've been experiencing multiple days of a pullback closing in the red. We're going to be talking about where does Palantir sit right now, and also, of course, we're going to be talking about Nvidia earnings. And right now, just what my personal reaction is from what we saw and what we're seeing right now in the extended trading hours is I don't think the market really knows how to react. Nvidia came out with some pretty astronomical earnings in terms of what they actually reported compared to the expectations from Wall Street. However, we're not seeing this large price influx. We could, though, depending on the market open, or things could go the other way. Like I said, right now it seems like the market doesn't know what to do. So we're going to be getting into all the details that you need to know. We hit 24,000 subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough. Let's continue on the road to 25. Hit that like button, of course, not a financial advisor, collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now, Palantir Technologies is doing a good job holding right above the support level that a lot of investors were anticipating a reversal or to be filled at, basically. And that is right at this 84 level. Palantir kind of bottomed out right here at this 85 and now had a little bit of a pop-up at 89. Currently in the overnight after hours, it's basically sitting at the same price. We're not seeing a ton of trading action across the board here, and this is doing decently well. We'll be getting into Nvidia's earnings here, how I think this is going to impact not just Palantir specifically, but the general market. Nonetheless, though, Palantir doing fairly well today. You can see options activity is fairly volatile. A decent amount of options activity on the puts and on the calls. So we'll see what happens. We could possibly be seeing a push back up here if the market does open up in the green. Not a ton of news on Palantir specifically today. One big thing, though, the Technological Republic, which is the book that's actually been written by the CEO, Alex Karp, was named by the New York Times here as the #1 bestseller in the country. So this made me more intrigued that I will have to pick up the book and give it a read. I'm not actually a very big reader, but hey, maybe I'll give this one a chance. Have any of you guys read it, and did you like it? Let me know down in the comments. It'd be really interesting to see if it could be the first book that I could return to from a long time previously. But talking about Nvidia, let's get to that. Looking at the earnings, sitting at 129.91 right now. We actually see a little bit of a pullback. I want to say a strong pullback, just not a little bit of downward pressure in the after hours. Nvidia came up about 4% today, closing at 131 and currently sitting at about $129.89. Their earnings were very solid. The revenue in 2024 more than doubled compared with a year earlier, beating analyst expectations. And specifically looking at their numbers, their net income during the quarter rose to $22 billion, which is an 80% jump from year over year at $12.29 billion. Their quarter revenue rose 78%, and the full fiscal year revenue for Nvidia rose 114% to $130 billion. Nvidia also offered guidance for the current quarter that is higher than the estimates, but here it says its rate of growth is slowing. And Nvidia is doing very well. You can see here just from the earnings is exploding at a very high, quick rate. One of the big things that we also have seen from Nvidia is that the Blackwell chips, the demand for the AI chips is continuing to account for a large amount of the sales within the company. Specifically, Blackwell chips right now are accounting for nearly about 30% of the net sales during the period, and expressing the significance right now of how AI in the industry has really been positive for Nvidia is a very bullish, I would say, statement, and a not just kind of statement, but an actual result that we saw in the earnings call looking at its actual report. The stock is right now down a little bit. Like I said, investors are still hesitant on where to take Nvidia. Right now, there is a key support level at about 130, and then you have some consolidation, kind of bumpiness all through the 110s and the 120. A little bit of support here in the mid 120 at 125. So looking at that, why are we possibly not seeing a large run up in buying after hours in Nvidia, pushing it back to that 150 resistance point? One key culprit that we could see is kind of what's happening in the general market today. And that is with kind of the potential, the uncertainties of tariffs that's rising up. And also, you also have this here, this 10-year treasury yield passing below that of the 3-month note. This is causing what investors are calling here an inverted yield curve. This is where more uncertainty is coming. Looking at the general market here, largely accurate historically. This inverted yield curve is a sign of an impending recession within 18 months. So it doesn't mean we're definitely going to have a recession, of course. That is just what this historically has showed us. Also, with the new trade policies, with the cabinet meeting here, you got the 25% tariffs being imposed on Canada and Mexico. There's just uncertainty there on how that is going to affect inflationary numbers. Also, getting 25% tariff on goods from the European Union. So, with that and what we've seen with the Federal Reserve, traders are going to be looking at tomorrow's weekless jobless claims and looking at Friday. That's going to be a big piece of macroeconomic information. The Friday's personal consumption expenditures index. The Fed likes to use the PCE data as its main inflationary gauge and as their decider for what to do with interest rates. Right now, the market is pricing in basically a near guarantee that the Fed's going to be holding interest rates steady. So we'll see what happens with that. But with Nvidia here, and we're not seeing a lot of price action on Nvidia's end, this is where we're seeing is the market going into more of a cyclical nature rather than just going up and up and up. However, we could see, of course, buying pressure coming back in. One stock that did drop, as actually outlook disappoints, is Salesforce here. Stocks as the drops with the earnings call. We see Salesforce is down about 5% in the after hours right now, down about $16 at $291. Now, Salesforce have reported their fourth quarter earnings and offered an outlook that actually fell short of analysts right here. The revenue grew 8% year over year to $9.99 billion. However, adjusted earnings came in here at 175 compared to 174 a year earlier. It actually missed estimates. Salesforce projected here, and they recently announced a actual CFO is going to be joining the company on March 21st. Since the start of the year, though, through the closing bell, they've been down about 8%. So that's what we have going on in the market. Other stocks that we have been keeping track of, things like HIMS. Remember, HIMS has had a large pullback, and a lot of these stocks are kind of up about the same percentage, about 5 to 6%. Looking at Tempest right here, up about 5%. Big Bear, not as much. But looking back at HIMS, remember what happened to HIMS was they came out with their earnings, which was very well in terms of their revenues and stuff like that. The main piece of uncertainty and the part that scared the market was that their main compounded ingredient for actual creation of their weight loss drug that is very similar with the same active ingredient as Ozempic for the GLP-1, they're not going to be able to basically make that right now. And that is because when the GLP-1 for Ozempic was in a shortage, these other companies could create a compound ingredient to basically create the same thing, just with a different brand name. That was when it was in a shortage. The FDA allowed that. Now that the shortage has been resolved, the FDA is now saying, hey, these companies cannot create this compounded like synthetic GLP-1, the main ingredient in Ozempic, and that is a very big revenue generator for HIMS and hers, and that's why you're seeing a large decrease here in terms of its price action. Buying the dip, possibly. However, there's a lot of volatility that is still out there. I think we should really be seeing what's going to be happening with Nvidia. That's what I'll personally be looking at. What's going to be happening market open, not just from what's happening right now in the extended hours, and also with that PCE data on Friday. Big things that are ahead. Nice to see a little bit of a reversal here, though. Like I had mentioned, you can see Tempest at 62. Big Bear had a pullback. This is also been suffering from the actual news of the defense budget cuts. So that's where we're sitting at. Where things. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. We hit 24,000 subscribers, and I can't thank you guys enough. Peace out, take care, and I'll catch you guys later.